Hey, it's Darren with Arbitrage Trade, and I am here with Daniel Hopwood. And the reason I'm here with him is because it's his show. It's Deep Dive with Daniel. He is still across the sea. Someday he will return to us, we all hope. But otherwise, he's sending his intelligence over to America. So we're going to
You
talk
know, you
about,
know, I really
yes,
like that you host my show, Darren.
I see that. I mean, your pay is terrible, and I have no
I think
benefits
I
at all.
think it's just more of this is my segment on your show, you know?
Oh, okay. I was trying to be, hey. All right. Well, as the host, I'm going to move along. It says, or what you did this week for your blog is a K-shaped recovery. So there must be different types and different shapes of recoveries, and this one being a K-shape, which you will explain. Um, the one question I have, because in your blog you talk about happening after a recession, which would mean that we'd have to admit that we have been in one, which the media hates to admit right now that we're in a recession. But I'm gonna, and plus, because look at the stock market. Look at the stock market. We can't be in a recession. It's going through the roof. Nvidia. Um, Go ahead and tell us what a K-shaped recovery is, and let's get this thing started.
Yeah, so a K-shaped recovery is that when an economy goes through a recovery after a recession, like you said, depending on what you define as a recession, different sectors and industries recover at different rates. So you can really think of this as like, COVID, whether you want to call that a recession or not. Um, some parts of the economy, you can think of it like hospitality, didn't recover very quick, right? Given there was an extreme circumstance where they couldn't,
Mhm.
but typically after a recession, hospitality, people aren't quite going out to eat as soon as you would think. But on the other
Mhm.
hand, technology boomed like crazy, right? Not only did it recover at probably 5x where it was before. And so, the K is simply things go down, and then as they recover, they different parts go different directions, making a K. My preferred favorite type of recovery is the V recovery because once you go down, you just immediately go back up, and the good times keep rolling.
I guess that's what easier to play with is a V.
Yep. Yep.
It's much easier to just okay, everything's going to go up. So we'll
Yep.
ride it up, and then we'll have those moments. We'll go down and up and down and up, but generally it's going up and to the right. I get that.
Hmm.
Much easier to play. So do you want to dig into? I mean, you kind of did. Like what right now we're dealing with wage issues. Um, we're dealing with restaurants closing down. We're dealing with drugstores closing down. I mean, it's crazy. Walgreens, what, 25,000 stores? I mean, some crazy
Yeah.
thing. But that's something else. That's theft. It's not
Hmm.
enforcing the freaking law that and almost the CEOs is like they're all in on it, saying, "Hey, we don't care if you come steal. We're not going to stop you, Lululemon." I mean, it was crazy the things that we heard during these break Apple Store. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, is that I feel like the numbers are probably a lot less than what are a lot worse than what's being reported, and that we've been in a recession for a while now,
Hmm.
and now it's finally just being released as we get closer and closer to the election that we actually were in one. It's like they tried to hold it in. We can't say recession until after the elections, and it's just kind of squeezed out. I mean, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as far as they tell us with economic data, which, I both think we know is not entirely accurate, that things aren't too great, right? And one of the things that is
Oh, it is
kind
for the
of
elite.
common.
It's great for the elite, by
Well,
the way. They're getting
well,
richer, by the way.
so the thing with a K-shaped recovery, one of the kind of like
Yep.
common theories with it is that it increases inequality. So,
Wealth
you
gap.
have yep, you have
Mhm.
one part, people that maybe work in hospitality, don't have a job, aren't making as much, which I think you would argue they're actually making more than they did, but there are now less of those jobs because they're trying to automate them because they're so expensive, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
but then you have people who make a lot of money working in tech, they were making even more. So there's kind of like the disparity of wealth that maybe on paper things don't look bad, but when you actually look at how people are feeling in the real world, it would indicate that things are not doing too good.
Okay. So yeah, just to wrap it up, a K can kind of apply to two different things. It can apply to or apply to um, not only wealthy going this way and the other 80% going this way, but also just the overall economic doing the same thing.
Mhm.
And that little gap we see there, the little V, if you will, is the wealth gap just getting wider and wider. And what's going to turn that around? I mean, when the wealthy decide that, hey, here's some crumbs. I mean, what's gonna what's gonna turn? I guess, or is it when it's going to be that they have to pay the piper eventually, and it's going to have to come crashing down? So mean, like just to wrap it up, what can we do to get what can you do to get out of a K-shaped recovery? Because it says recovery, but that's not a recovery for the lower 80%. That's still even worse recession slash depression, I think.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how you actually change it because things have already, over the long term, disparity is always created and gets greater and greater, right? Like any economy
Yep.
historically has shown that over time. And so, how do we revert back to that? I think it's funny because the conservative party wants to tax less, right? Because in theory, taxing less, the wealthy, then has more money to start
Trickle
companies and
down,
create
yes.
more
Trickle down.
jobs.
Hmm.
Um, but then on the other hand, the left, they want to tax more and give the money away to prop people up, which we saw during COVID, and that didn't work out too well, right? We're back to all-time high debt where we were higher than before.
And all
It's
kinds of
really
fraud.
nice on paper, but it
Hmm.
doesn't actually, work out that way in the long run.
Right, right. So it'll be interesting to see who wins the next election, and this whole thing, this K-shaped recovery, could determine that. I think we know how the elections went, or the debates went. So
Yeah,
the
yeah,
next few
that was
months
pretty
are
obvious.
just going to be absolutely crazy, and I know we'll have a lot to talk about here on future editions of Deep Dive with Daniel. I hope you have a really good weekend, Fourth of July weekend. Although they don't celebrate that there, I suppose.
Coincidentally, in
Oh,
Singapore, their Independence Day or whatever, I believe is actually this weekend.
oh wow. Okay, now Hong Kong
Yeah.
just did almost what seems the way it was described last week, or was it this week? Some type of Hong Kong independence. It was called something else. I'm not sure. So yeah, I
But that
guess like they
wasn't
all got.
just military exercises next to Taiwan, which is just a regular week, or
Yes. Let's see some fireworks. No, let's don't see fireworks there. All right, Daniel. Appreciate you coming by. I will catch you next week.
see you next time, Darren.
All right. Bye bye.